because I'm just feeling it right now. So let's all remember to inhale love and exhale fear, and then pick up the phone. All right. Ah, I'm ready for turkey tomorrow. So, Mantil, what's on your mind? What do you want to work on?
I'm pretty open today. I don't have much to work on. I'm working on Thanksgiving.
Okay, well, let's wait for that for tomorrow. You got work today.
Yeah.
Um, you bet. You bet. Anybody else have something hot to trot working on some sales development?
I do have a question myself.
Okay.
So I've met a couple people from open houses, and they come through. They're excited. They want to find something. I'm like, all right, let me get all your information. I get all their information. I contact them, and they stone cold just won't talk to me.
Okay.
How do you move forward from there without seeming
Okay, let me
pushy?
dive into that a little bit. Let me dive into that a little bit. Um, so, what do you specifically mean by they won't talk to you? Would they pick up the phone and hang up?
No, no, no. If I get to pick up the phone and hang up, I know they're done. But no, they won't pick up phone calls. They won't answer texts. They won't respond to emails.
Okay.
Is there something I can do?
Well, you have to set a policy for yourself, and say, after 5, 6, 3, 2, 8, 10, 12 attempts, dish it,
Yeah. Okay.
delete, F10, whatever that key is on your computer, F10 it. Uh, the only reason you're holding on to them too long is that you're not doing enough prospecting to replace it. You have a weak pipeline. People, real salespeople, including myself, hang on to stuff longer than they should have because they lack the skills to replace it, or they don't have the skills, or don't want to replace the skills. So they hold on to stuff too long. And by holding on to the stuff too long, it prevents and perverts them from achieving more later. I'm not saying that's the case with you. That is a valid question. The response is, how deep is your pipeline? How far do you want to take it? Until you delete them out of your system. Now, I'm not suggesting that this would be somebody like you already have a relationship with, or they've already got. This is somebody that is stone cold new. That you had this, and you try to reach out, and you try to reach out after a good faith effort, then you just got to let them go. That's my perspective. Maybe somebody has a
Excellent.
different.
Well, and if I can interject, if you've done everything you can and they're not responding, and like Todd said, give yourself a limit, and then also just take a positive approach with yourself and don't take it personal. Maybe they lost a job, maybe they got moved, maybe a family member said, "Hey, I'm a broker. What are you doing?" You know. So yeah, just let it go and say next.
Yeah, if you exactly correct. And if you don't want to, F10 them straight out, just put them in the parking lot. Put them in the parking lot, send them a little monthly thing, and then contact them once a year as a reminder.
Good deal. Thank you.
Yeah, move on.
Something I always had my assistants do if we had contact with somebody and they seemed pretty good and then they ghosted us, we would tell them, we're going to keep trying to contact you until you tell us you don't want to work with us or need to work with us anymore. Then that kind of lets them know that, we're not going to stop.
Hmm. You bet. You bet. Relentless. I love it. You got it. Good. Good, good, good. Great question. Great question. Anything else? We can talk about some objection handling techniques. Instant.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Um, a couple of things you have to understand when objections do occur, and they are a natural part of a presentation, whatever sort it may be, over the phone, face to face, negotiation. We're going to have objections all the time. It's unnatural, actually, not to have sales objections. And so when we are embraced with an objection, just looking, or will you cut your commission, or I've got somebody else I want to work with, or I'm going to wait, or this isn't the right house, or I don't want to, spend that much on this piece of property, whatever the negotiation may be. It's always rooted in some type of an emotion. Emotions oftentimes are, as we know, completely unpredictable, but the emotions is what moves us. Emotion creates motion. And so we're moved by emotion. Our objections are what we encounter ourselves, as well as we object to the things that we state that we want to accomplish. We have objections within ourselves. And so the customer is the same way. So it's going to be coming from an emotion. An emotion is something either we're going to perceive real or not. It doesn't matter. It's a perception based upon if it's going to create harm to us in the future. So we're going to move away from it, or if it's going to make us feel uncomfortable, we're going to try to move away from it without having all the knowledge about what it is that we can actually achieve. But a perception is creating a feeling that is an emotion that is moving us away from a stated purpose. So let's just define what objections are, meaning they're not always freaking real. Okay, because our emotions aren't always real. They're based upon a perception that we have with the knowledge that we have in our heads and what we feel about a future event that will create harm to us or make us feel bad. Therefore, we're going to object. Okay, a definition of an objection. And so I acknowledge that not all objections are created equally. So let's find out about what the root of the objection is. But before you do so, why not test the strength? Objection handling can occur in a number of different ways. One is to ignore it. Okay. Sometimes, when you ignore your own emotion and just get into the deal, that emotion goes away. But why did I ever think about stopping? Okay, so one way to handle objections is not to handle them, is simply just to ignore them. For example, somebody give me an objection, I don't care what it is. Someone please give me an objection.
Your commission is too high.
My commission's too high?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, great. As we take a look about what it is we want to accomplish, let's go ahead and focus on what is absolutely necessary to get this home sold. And at this price, I believe we're going to be able to get you what you want. Would you agree?
Yes.
I just ignored the objection. I didn't respond to it at all. I heard it and I was like, oh, yeah, great. Oh, you think my commissions are too high? Perfect. Okay, well, whatever. Hey, guess what? If it's a real objection, we're going to get to hear it again a second time. Okay? Sometimes they just feel that they have to say something. Like when you walk into a furniture store and you want to buy a table, and the furniture person comes up to you and goes, oh, hi, welcome to Jack's Furniture. Can I help you today? No, I'm just looking. Bullshit. You're not just looking in, you're there to buy a freaking table. Why did I say that? I don't know. Just something I had to. It's oh, I thought I had to ask to have you reduce your commissions. Well, sometimes if we validate the objection, it does become a real objection. So one way to handle it, as you can see, is just simply ignore it. Okay. Another way, excuse me, is to test the metal. Actually test how strong they are in their position. You're going to, as Coach Jim would often say, I want to poke that a little bit. I want to poke into that a little bit. So I'm going to poke into this next objection. Doug, you had an objection for me. Let me hear it.
Hey, I've been working with another broker. He's agreed to kick back a point of his commission. And if you don't kick back a point, I'm going to go with the other broker.
So what I hear is you want me to give up some of my commission because you have another broker that is willing to give up part of their commission, and you want to work with somebody who wants to give up their pay. Well, I hear what you're saying, and the longer you think about that, the more ridiculous it sounds. Can I explain?
Okay.
Right. Okay, so what did I just do? I just modified the conversation. I moved the conversation about me not giving up my commission into a part of the going back into the presentation to build value. Now you got to have something solid to say if you're going to take that route, or you can say, Doug, I hear you. You have somebody else out there that will work for less and do all the same work. And the more you think about that, the more ridiculous it sounds. So let's just go ahead and move forward and keep our relationship the way it is intact. Okay. I just tested it. The first one is, the more you think about it, the more that doesn't make sense. The more that really doesn't make any sense to help you get really what you want. Let's just go ahead and move forward. I acknowledged it, and then I tested it. I poked it, and guess what, Doug? If they say, well, no, Todd, we really have somebody else that will do it for this, and we will go in that direction if you won't do it for that.
Right.
Okay, so great. Okay, now I tested it. They're serious about their position. So let me do a more surgical strike. Okay, the first one is just a slap. I just want to see if it's really something there. If it's really something there, they're still standing. They're still asking for that. Okay, let me be a little stronger with this, because obviously you're in a real good position, and that little test poke didn't do anything for you because you're still standing. Let's try this out. Okay, then you do the verbal modification, which I explained first. Doug, the more you examine how much you want to reduce my fees, the less likely you're going to have a real estate broker willing to stand up for you. Can I explain?
Okay.
Okay. What I've done there is I didn't test it. I didn't ignore it. I didn't test it and poke it. I modified. I modified it. I acknowledge that there is a concern, and I'm not going to try to slap it down like I did the first time. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to fully address it. And I'm going to try to persuade and convince you that that feeling that you have about chopping down my fees is not going to be necessarily the best strategy to help you move forward to accomplish what it is that you want. Okay. And I did that by modifying the conversation, acknowledging what they said. The more you think about that, reducing my fees, the less likely you're going to be able to achieve what it is you want. So that caused them a little bit of fear. May I explain? Almost 100% of the time, if you propose it like that, may I explain? People almost 100% of the time will say, yeah, or they'll just give you a nod and let you proceed. And sometimes you don't even have to acknowledge their response. Their silence is your response to move forward. Okay? So you just simply move forward and give them a response about why and that value that you provide them is greater than the discount that they perceive they're going to receive. All right. Another way to handle an objection is to identify their motivation. What people value most deeply moves them most powerfully. So, if you want to find out what the root of that if you want to find out what the root of that objection is, find out what's moving it most powerfully. And what's moving it most powerfully, remember, it's an emotion, and that emotion is driven based upon a perceived emotional reward. They're going to be rewarded by not going in that direction. So your job is to alter that. In order to alter that feeling, you need to identify first what's driving it. So this technique allows you to get down to the root of what's driving the objection. So After that quick explanation, somebody else throw out an objection for me. This is a salesperson waiting for a sales objection. Or
So-
should I just ask you to go ahead and sign the contract?
May I add the objection? So, trying to get someone to buy a house, and the person is renting. So now is the time. It's great, mortgage and all this stuff. And I say, oh, I'm renting with my relatives. So I don't throw out the money. I help my family, and it's good for the family.
Okay. So give me the objection.
The objection is I'm renting almost for free, but the money I have to pay for rent is just for my family or for family members who rent their property to me.
Okay. That's a really interesting objection. I'm not sure if I've ever heard that type of an objection, but it's an objection nonetheless.
I
Okay.
heard it yesterday.
All right. Well, that person shouldn't be in the market, but let's say there's a way to help them understand that. Okay, this is actually a really interesting one. It works really good for what we're going to do. We're going to identify what the motivational reward is that they are getting by saying they want to buy something or shopping for something, but yet aren't willing to move. Okay, what a conflict that individual is encountering. The best thing we can do for that person is to help them settle their mind and get away from this conflict. I want to buy something, but it'll hurt my family. I want to increase what I can do, but it's going to hurt my family. But I want to help my family, but it's going to be hurting me by helping my family. But I want to help my family, but it's hurting me. I want to help me, but it's going to hurt my family. What a conflict.
Yeah.
What a conflict that individual is having. So the best thing I can do is try to solve this conflict. So let's get to this. Werner, I
Yeah.
really appreciate you, being open and honest with, you're wanting to do something, but you don't want to hurt your family. What's important about what specifically is important about helping your family out by continuing to rent?
Yeah, they talk to me and say, you're the best renter, and we don't want to lose you for the rent, etc. And stay with us. We keep the rent as it is, and we take care of you.
Okay. Well, first of all, I'm going to pause right there because you didn't answer my question. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask it again. Because before I move on, you are looking on the outside. I'm asking you to look on the inside because I said, what's specifically important to you? And you said, what's important to them in your
Okay.
response. So a key thing here and what we're experiencing is listening. It's so important to listen when you are handling objections, because when you begin to intermix your emotions with their emotions, you lose objectivity and your ability to hear and listen. Okay, so I'm just going to restate the question. That's great, Werner, that you are in a position right now to assist and help your family and being such a great renter for them. What specifically is important to you about staying in this rental?
To have a good relationship with my family. So
Exactly. There we go. That's perfect. Having good relationships with your family is the important one of the beautiful things of life. Some things you can never replace. Some things you want to replace, but you can't. But some things, that's wonderful. Tell me more. Tell me more about that.
So for me, it's of course important to create value, right? And I know if I pay rent, I don't create value because it's not for me. So I'm in a conflict.
Yeah, yeah. You know, ultimately, ultimately, if you could create value, you know, for yourself and see yourself in a home at the same time, value for the a continued relationship with the people that you in your family. If you could create a scenario where it's a win-win for you and also for them, what would that provide you with? What would that
This would
give
be,
you?
this would be great. I didn't think about this yet.
Well, it would feel great. And let me explain. How much are you paying rent?
700 a month.
Is that low for the market for that property?
Yes.
Okay, how much do you think they could rent it out for?
They told me I could rent it out for 1500.
Wow, they must really love you. They must really love you. And so, would they, if you decided to double your payment to them every month, would that be okay for them?
Don't know. I didn't have this discussion.
No, I'm saying if you decided to start paying them $1,400 a month, would that be okay for them?
Of course, everybody would take what they get, right? What you can
Okay.
get.
A couple of things because they value your relationship so much, they are giving away half of what they could get otherwise.
Yes.
Yeah, that's very honorable. And at the same time, you expressed a desire to to purchase a property in this market, and by waiting, I'm sure you're saving money every month, but by waiting, the homes are appreciating faster than you can save money by paying a discount in rent. So there's a win-win situation here for you as well for them. Can I explain?
Yes, please.
Um, I know a rental company that guarantees rent.
That sounds interesting.
It's a rental guarantee. They're professional property managers, and your family who's renting that to you for $700 a month can pay a property manager and almost double what it is that they're getting in terms of the value and be more profitable. And then also at the same time, allow you to move on with your life. And I think, based upon the value they have in ownership, is expressed to you by offering you such a low rent. Wouldn't they be honored to have you share with somebody else what they have the ability to share with you, perhaps later on?
Sounds good.
Let's talk to them about making some arrangements, perhaps for a new tenant with a rental guarantee through a company that I have. So it can start with this, a rental assessment. I want to have you get in touch with somebody who can give you a rental assessment and describe what they have for their rental guarantee programs. At the same time, this will allow you to exercise your ability to purchase in today's market before prices and interest rates go above and beyond what you feel comfortable with already.
Sounds a great idea. Yes, let's go this way.
And that's sort of, some of the
Yeah.
discussions. I mean,
Uh,
maybe it's going to go, maybe it won't. I don't know.
I guess my one
I think
question is, did you identify their motivation to be looking?
No, because that wasn't the objection.
No, I understand you had an objection, but why are they looking?
That wasn't the objection. It wasn't that he didn't want to look. I found in that regard the objection was he wanted to stay where he was at. Not that he didn't want to look. He felt compelled to stay for the relationship of the relatives.
yeah, that's the conflict, the inner conflict what the person had.
He doesn't want to upset the relatives by moving out.
I
Yeah.
agree, and I understood that. But on the flip side of it, I'm trying to understand why is if he's all sold on that, when was he out looking?
So I don't have that other part of the
Yeah.
conversation.
That's what I'm poking on Warner.
No, I didn't have it either. So yeah, I didn't go.
Okay.
Didn't think.
Yeah, and then you can use the same technique. You know, what's important about buying a house?
Yeah.
You know, well, tell me more about that. You know, ultimately, what would that do for you?
Yeah.
Okay. So handling objections requires key listening skills. There's a couple of 2 or 3 different ways that we explored here in just a short period of time to handle objections. One is just to flat out ignore it and push them forward and test their position. You know, with Warner's deals, like, you know, hey, Warner, why don't we just go ahead and begin shopping for a house? They're going to find a renter that will pay more than what it is that you're currently paying, which will put more money in their pocket, and plus you're going to get a home. Let's go ahead and get started with that process. What do you say?
Right. Yes.
Okay, I'm just going to ignore it. I'm not going to acknowledge it. I'm not going to put any energy into it. I'm not going to go through that whole long explanation. I'm just going to, hey, okay, great. You're feeling like that. Let's ignore it and let's move forward. Let's push forward. Okay.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
If that doesn't work, okay, great. And then I'm going to say, then, you know, the more you think about not wanting to buy a house at the same time, the harder it's going to become for you to move later. Can I explain?
Right. Yes,
Well, yeah, the harder it is for you to, you know, say no now. What do you believe is going to change in 3 to 4 months when homes are $50,000 more than they are today?
yeah.
You know, so I want to put a little bit of that. So there's a whole bunch of different ways you can slice it and dice it, mix it and fix it. There's just not one way to quote unquote skin the cat, but there are some techniques. One's, you know, finally get into the heart, modify the conversation, or flat out ignore it.
Understood. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Whoa, 9 o'clock. That is the prospecting golden hour for me. So thanks for tuning me up. Time to get on the phone and make some freaking live calls and make some money. Oh,
Amen.
all right.
Thank you for this morning. Talk to you soon.
You got it, buddy. Take care, man.
So we are not doing SDM tomorrow, everybody.
That's true.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Have a good one, guys.